Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shenanigans Show. Also, slight apologies for this look. I went out to lunch with some friends today, and I took off my makeup, but there's still some, anyway, it is what it is. So, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail for this video, this is the summer bucket list book tag, and I linked the original post down below in the description by the video inspo text for where I found the resource for this video and these prompts. So go check out that original post and take a look there for that original creator's or that original poster's answers. I don't know if that person was, I think it's Isabella. I don't know if they were the ones who actually created this book tag or not, but that's where I got the inspiration from. So go check that out. And let's see, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 prompts in this, and as usual, all the prompts are down below in the description, basically right at the first thing, and then the books I mentioned in this are right after the prompts. So if you want to just see the list of the books that I mentioned without the descriptions, that's without the descriptions of the book, that's in the description of this video. But with all of that said, let's get into this video. So the first prompt is Hit the Beach, which is a book set by the water, and for me, I've yet to start reading this, so Hexed by McIntire. This is set by the water, so obviously it's inspired by The Little Mermaid, so again, obviously water. So to give the description, because that's something I've been trying to do, I'm going to stop saying that after this video because I've been better about it, but I wasn't very good about it in previous videos. So descriptions: he's the prince of La Cosa Nostra. She's the witch who steals his heart. Vanessa Anderson has never been good. She wasn't good enough for her parents, and she isn't good enough for the gangster uncle who took her in after they died. But she's cunning, beautiful, dutiful to her uncle's demands, and she doesn't have time for a moral compass anyway. When her runaway cousin returns to their coastal southern town, she brings a man with her, and Vanessa soon realizes he's the only one who's ever seen her for her. There's just one problem: she can never have him. There is more, but I'm just gonna keep it at that because, you know, Vanessa's our main character in this. So yeah, this is Little Mermaid retelling where it's the prince, Eric, and then Vanessa getting together in the end. So that's this. Okay, next up is Watch Fireworks, a book that had a fiery romance. This one I'm going to kind of do a 3-in-1 because I have the 3-in-1 version of the book, the trilogy, in one book, but I can't get the individual books, at least physically. And the one I'm going to do is The Gods of the Duat trilogy by Alessa Thorn. You can read this in Kindle Unlimited if that's something that you have. However, I will try see if there are other ways you can support authors who have Kindle Unlimited books. If that is the only way you can support them, go for it, but try to avoid Amazon and Kindle as much as possible, again, unless that is the only way you can support the authors. But anyway, back to our favorites. So this is all 3, so it's Set, Anubis, and Thoth. Well, Set, Thoth, and Anubis, that's the order. I am a big ancient Egypt lover, and these are like my 3 favorite gods. So yeah, description. So this is also kind of like a pseudo sequel to the Court of the Underworld series by Alessa Thorn. It's one whole overarching series of the Gods universe, where it's the first 7 books are the Court of the Underworld, and then the next 3 books are these guys, and then there's like another sub-series where it's the Lost Goddesses series, which I need to read. But yeah, that's these books. So it's a pseudo sequel. You don't necessarily need to read the Court of the Underworld to read these, but you do see some character appearances, and then you do get references of the Court of the Underworld story, the overarching story in this. But again, you don't need to read the Court of the Underworld. you'll just have some more context clues for some subtle references in this. But to give the description, also this pen was 100% me when I was putting it back, and I did not realize when I was putting it back on my shelf. Okay. Long ago, the world was void and in chaos. Out of the dark, churning waters, the first of the gods was born, and then everything got complicated. Wow, I was doing fine. Hades and his court might have come out to the world, but the gods in Egypt just want to be left alone. The gods are going to have to get over their millennia-old grudges and come together because a bigger problem is brewing. Anubis has gone missing, and the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, is starting to crumble without him. If Set and Thoth don't work together to find their lost nephew and restore him to his throne, the dead would be released back out into the world. Luckily, the god of fate is sending them some very clever human females to help figure it out. This book collects all 3 of the gods of the Duat, a new paranormal romance series that centers on the Egyptians' gods of war, magic, and the dead. It's based in the same world as the Court of the Underworld, but can be read separately. So that's these are my babies. This trilogy was like my favorite of the Gods Universe series. Again, it's an overarching series, but these were like my favorites. These are my babies. So next up is Go for a Road Trip, a book that involves a journey. This one is kind of like another trilogy, but I'm only going to show the first book, and that is the Bloodsworn series by Gwynne. First book is, as you can tell, The Shadow of the Gods. I read this, I really enjoyed it. I think now that I've had some space between reading the last book and now, the first book I feel was definitely the best. If I were to rank it, I'd probably do first book, third book, and then the second book. Just because the second book did have some middle book syndrome. And it didn't need to be as long as it was. But it was fine for what it was. It did its purpose. But it did have a bit of middle child syndrome. The last book, so the first book is Shadow of the Gods, and then it's The Hunger of the Gods, and then The Fury of the Gods. And the first book was definitely the best. The third book was a pretty good wrap up, which is why it's like slightly above the second book. But anyway, to give you the description, when the gods fought, it was a battle so savage they destroyed themselves, leaving nothing but their bones and the broken land of Vigrid in their wake. Now, as whispers of war echo over the fjords and across the plains, fate follows in the footsteps of 3 warriors, a huntress on a perilous quest, a noblewoman pursuing battle fame, and a thrall seeking retribution amongst the mercenaries known as the Bloodsworn. All 3 will change the course of the world as it once more follows under the shadow of the gods. I do have the first book of his other series, Malice. What's that one? The Faithful and the Fallen, the first book of the Faithful and the Fallen series. I do have that first book. I've not read it yet just because I feel like I need at least until the end of the year before I start another really big series, because that's like 5 books, I think. But yeah, Shadow of the Gods is a really good series if you need a good long book recommendation. And then next up is Camp Under the Stars, a book that left you starstruck. This is the one I will never shut up about. There are a few, but this is one. I think I talk about, there are 3 specifically that I have not shut up about over the past year or so, and this is one of them. There's a second one of that 3 that I'll mention later, but the Remarried Empress, and like, I love this series. I will never shut up about this. Like, people need to read this. Like, I need more people to read this and give it a shot, because this is a story that like a lot of people would like, and other variations and iterations people have like this kind of story before. So like, I need more people to read this. So description wise, I accept the divorce and request for an approval of my remarriage. Empress Navier and Emperor Chauvesio, a match made in heaven. They were the 2 pillars of their land whom everyone believed would stand by each other through thick and thin, until a chance encounter with a beautiful girl in the forest leaves the emperor smitten. They're hurt by Though hurt by the betrayal, Navier is not one to waste time I can't speak right now. Navier is not one to waste time wallowing in despair, and when Chevesio requests divorce, she has but one condition in return: permission to remarry the man of her choosing. So the thing is that's not very spoiler, because one, remarried, so she obviously had to be divorced, and you get him, Emperor Chevesio, requesting the divorce like right off the bat, and you know who she's asking permission to remarry, and then you backtrack to kind of what builds up to this. So that's what this is. I'm past the point where it's like now kind of back after this initial point. So like I'm caught up on that. I'm not caught up with like the novels, because I have been doing more of the novels rather than the I think it's webtoon, the online webcomic, just because I've been having the hardest time trying to do that online in webcomic form. So I'm not caught up with the novelizations, the mangazations, but I'm slowly getting there. I think I'm up to volume 9 now. The next one is Marathon Some Movies, a book you couldn't put down. And for me, that was Bravely by Maggie Stiefvater. It's been a hot minute since I've talked about this, even longer since I've read it. But like, I love Brave. I love the story. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies, one of my favorite just overarching Disney movies. She's my favorite princess next to Tiana. Like, I will fight for her. She can fight for herself, but I will fight for her. And like, I love this. This was such a good take on the story, and like a kind of a sequel to the story, and I absolutely loved it. Okay, 1 princess, 2 gods, 3 voyages, 4 seasons. So, to give you the description, to save her family, she'll have to... words. I can't speak all of a sudden. To save her family, she'll have to be braver than ever before. 1 princess, Merida of Dunbrook, needs a change. She loves her family, jovial King Fergus, proper Queen Eleanor, and the mischievous triplets in her peaceful kingdom. But she's frustrated by its sluggishness. Each day the same. Merida longs for adventure, purpose, challenge, maybe even someday love. And I kind of like how it approached the topic of potentially Merida finding love, because it's like, it's not that she was fully closed off to that idea, it's just that wasn't the purpose of the movie. And again, that's not the sole purpose of this book, which I appreciated. 2 gods, the fiery princess never expected her disquiet to manifest by way of Feradoch, an uncanny supernatural being tasked with rooting out rot and stagnation, who appears in Dunbrook on Christmas Eve with the intent to demolish the realm and everyone within. Only the intervention of the Kaliach, an ancient entity of creation, gives Merida a shred of hope. A bargain: convince her family to change within the year or suffer the eternal consequences. 3 voyages. Under the watchful eye of the gods, Merida leads a series of epic journeys to the kingdoms near and far in an attempt to inspire revolution within her family. But in her efforts to save those she loves from ruin, has Merida lost sight of the clan member grown most stagnant of all, herself. And then 4 seasons that will secure Dunbrook's future forever. 4 seasons that will secure Dunbrook's future or destroy it forever. So again, this was a really interesting take on the story, and like a really interesting take on a sequel to the movie. So like, chef's kiss, beautiful. I haven't read any of her other works just because I'm not interested in her other works, but she is definitely a good author, and I do see the appeal. So next up is Go Up for Ice Cream, a book with a sweet romance. For me, I just finished reading this recently, Under the Oak Tree by Suji Kim. I'd read the arc before, which is how I put it in other book tags, but I finished reading the official thing just before the book 2, volume 2 comes out. Under the Oak Tree by Suji Kim. And this one, I'm just gonna give, like usual, this will be a series. I think it's a webcomic on Manta. But just to give you the description of the first volume. and it covers chapters 1 through 76 of the original web novel. Most fairy tales end with a wedding and happily ever after, but this is no fairy tale. Lady Maximilian is the daughter of the powerful Duke Croiso, but she is rarely allowed outside her family's sprawling castle for fear that her stutter will tarnish their noble name. When she is forced to marry Sir Riften, a lowborn knight caught in one of her father's schemes, Maxie doesn't dare hope for happiness, let alone love. Her stumbling communication and his gruff manner sour their relationship before it can even begin. And Riften leaves without a word the morning after their vows are exchanged. Now, 3 years after their disastrous wedding night, Riften has returned as a war hero. To Maxie's surprise, despite the rumors that he was offered marriage to Princess Agnes, a beautiful and renowned sorceress, Riften still wants Maxie for his wife. And when he comes to claim her, his desire bewilders Maxie, even as she is overcome by the scorching heat that Riften's presence ignites within her. As she learns to navigate the intricacies of her new life, Maxie will find herself and her courage and discover that she's anything but powerless. And then this bottom little part, like I kind of mentioned before, the updated and official translation of Under the Oak Tree, the #1 web novel on Manta. This volume collects chapters 1 through 76 of the web novel by Suji. And I am hoping to get the graphic novel version as well and start getting that, just to have like the picture version as well if I don't want to do like the novelization. So very sweet romance. I love this. I love them. They're so wholesome. Like, we need to protect them at all costs. And then next up is Picnic in the Park, a book that was a breath of fresh air. This is the other one that I kind of was referring to with the Remarried Empress, where it's like, I will not shut up about these books. The third one being Villains Are Destined to Die. And also, like, not to mention Heaven Official's Blessing, but that's also kind of within that. And I think part of it is because I read it at a time when I was in a little bit of a reading slump and a manga slump as well, and just a manga and anime slump. And this is kind of what helped me get back into it and just be excited about it. But again, prompt. Picnic in the Park, a book that was a breath of fresh air. The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. I could have put this under sweet romance, the Go Out for Ice Cream, but like so far we haven't had much romancy stuff, although I think we should be getting some at some point, I think. But honestly, like, I love this book. It has so many moments where I felt like if I was sitting and if I was wanting to do this, I'd be like kicking my feet up and giggling. Like, I loved this book. It was so cute. So, tutorials start from cooking to alchemy to even brewing tea. Elliot Orland is a certified child prodigy. Thanks to her secret weapon, she's a transmedicator. Having purchased an insurance package at the moment of her untimely end, Elliot has the perks of a top-tier support system in an item shop to fall back on. And in a world of a notoriously brutal time loop novel, she's going to need all the help she can get. Because with the hero slated for an early death, Elliot might just have to become an S-Class heroine herself. I love this. It's so cute. I read volume 2. So cute. So chef's kiss. I love this. And then the next prompt is Go for a Hike, a character who conquered an obstacle. There were a lot that I could think of, but for me, I think the one that spoke out to me the most is Heaven Official's Blessing and Julien. I was watching the English dub of season 2 recently. And I think I said this in that video, the rewatch of Heaven Official Blessing and the English dub. Like, most of the English casting was on point, except for Windmaster. Windmaster is my baby. I love Windmaster. But, like, Windmaster sounded slightly too, like the male avatar for Windmaster, slightly too arrogant and slightly too high-pitched. I wasn't expecting, like, a super deep voice, but just, like, something slightly deeper than the English voice actor for Windmaster. Not that they're a bad voice actor, but I was expecting something a little deeper than that. And it was kind of annoying me because I love Windmaster. But anyway, like, Jianle and Huacheng Salong, like, most of the characters do go through a lot in this book, and I've only read like half. I have volume 5, but I've only read up to volume 4. And like, I'm kind of tempted to just like get the rest of the series, volumes 6, 7, and 8, and then just binge read the whole thing. I might do a reading vlog for that, but like, they've gone through so much, and like, my babies, like, I need them to be happy and good and where they're supposed to be. Like, I need them to be happy and good. A god fallen, a ghost risen. Born the crown prince of a prosperous kingdom, Julien was renowned for his beauty, strength, and purity. His years of dedicated study and noble deeds allowed him to ascend to godhood. But those who rise may also fall, and fall he does, cast from the heavens and banished to the world below. 800 years after his mortal life, Julien has ascended to godhood for the 3rd time, angering most of the gods in the process. To repay his debts, he is sent to the mortal realm to hunt down violent ghosts and troublemaking spirits who prey on the living. Along his travels, he meets the fascinating and brilliant Salong, a young man with whom he feels an instant connection. Yet Salong is clearly more than he appears. What mysteries lie behind that carefree smile? So yeah, this video, Chef's Kiss, perfect. I love this book. Did I say video? This book, Chef's Kiss, love it, love the anime. Okay, so the next prompt is Girls in BBQ, a book featuring delicious food. And I had to with this one. I'm showing the World Guide, but Delicious in Dungeon features delicious food. Unorthodox food, but delicious food. And at some point I am hoping to look into recipes and try some recipes. At least try like equivalent recipes or adjacent recipes. So yeah, Delicious in Dungeon. Basically this one you're following a group, like a D&D type group who are entering the dungeon again, basically D&D group, who are entering the dungeon again after losing one of their comrades in a previous journey into that dungeon, and they're trying to find their comrade, this guy's sister, who had been eaten by a dragon. And they're encountering a bunch of the different creatures and having to figure out good meals along the way. Good meaning nutritious, and also that tastes good. So that's what this is about. And then the next and final prompt is Watch the Sunrise, a book that inspired you. And for me, that was The 3 Lives of Alex St. Pierre. This is another one that I think more people should read. I think Natasha Lester in general is an author that more people should read. I still have to read her most recent book, which is the Mademoiselle Alliance, which I kind of forgot about. I forgot about for a hot minute because I have been less active on Instagram. But I'm trying to be reactive on. I've been less active on certain profiles, some of my profiles on Instagram, because I have a couple. I have a Bookstagram one, and then a Crochetgram one, and then a personal. So I've tried to be less active on Instagram and just meta apps in general. But so that's why I forgot about the Mademoiselle Alliance. But The 3 Lives of Alex St. Pierre, like all of Natasha Lester's books are really inspiring, so it's kind of hard to choose just one, but this one for sure. So, oh yeah, I forgot about the bookmark. This is the bookmark. I'm trying to figure out how to hold it. Alex St. Pierre, an unforgettable name for an unforgettable woman. She grew up surrounded by Hollywood glamour, but as an orphan never truly felt part of that world. In 1943, with World War II raging and men headed overseas to fight, she lands a publicity job to recruit women into the workforce. Her skills, persuasion, daring, quick wit under pressure catch the attention of the U.S. government, and she finds herself with an even bigger assignment: being sent to Switzerland as a spy. Seeing Alex is on the precipice of something big, very big, but how far can she trust her German informant? After an Allied victory that didn't come nearly soon enough, Alex moves to Paris, ready to immerse herself in a new position as director of publicity for the yet to be launched House of Dior. In the glamorous halls of the French fashion house, She can nearly forget everything she lost and the dangerous secret she carries. But when a figure from the war reappears and threatens to destroy her future, Alex realizes that she can right the wrongs of the past. That only she can right the wrongs of the past and finally find justice. So this amazing book, amazing story, amazing characters, just like overall amazing and overall inspiring. I loved this book so much. So that's all I'm gonna say for now, and just leave it at that. So that's this book tag, the summer bucket list book tag. If you want to do this, I'm tagging anyone and everyone who wants to do this tag. You can do it in a comment down below, in a blog post, in your own video. I would love to know what your answers are though, so please let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.